Lenwood, please take it away.
Thank you, James. It's a pleasure to be here and spending so much time in Georgia. I feel like I'm at home there. Um, let's talk briefly about Groundswell. Groundswell was created in 2009 with a vision focused on helping our low moderate income communities. And the best way to do that is what we're talking about today, clean energy, that impact and what it does for the family. It's more than just clean energy. And our brief time to speak today, we're going to talk about that climate solutions and go beyond as to how we transition from carbon to that clean energy uh, project called solar. Uh, Groundswell's team is a small team, but it's a mighty team of 14 and consultants. We're currently in about 6 states, coming from New York all the way into Georgia, North Carolina, swinging back up into DC, which is headquarters, the DMV area. And we love what we do. We like to change the lives of the communities we serve. As I listened to my colleagues talk briefly today and got to see what we're doing on a large scale, I looked a little deeper into what that meant for all communities. The solar program is an extensive one that many of the big companies make great money from. But we keep forgetting it's the little people who build those solar programs and make sure that those solar panels work. And we would like to make sure through the Groundswell vision that they are a stakeholder in this clean energy. So you hear words like energy justice, sustainability, and then we want to make sure that when we use these words, they impact the programs that we're listening and hearing about today. How do we do climate solutions? I believe that you start and look down into the weeds, as we would call it, and look up. Who is impacted the most and who is most least forgotten in the process? We say low and moderate income communities. 80% of this country is low and moderate. And with saying that, we say this 50% is moderate and 30% is low. That tells two stories. Many of the communities that we need the solar energy to go into are the last to have a word. And that's extremely alarming to many societies. Even our president today states our stimulus packages must focus on those who need it most and to improve the communities that we live in. So when we take the solar concept and what it means as clean and renewable energy, we need to make sure that every stakeholder is at that table. What does that impact mean to us? It means a couple of things. It means that when you build it thinking about every community and not just a few communities. Next slide. Scalable solar in Georgia. What does that mean? Um, my CEO, Michelle Moore, plays an intricate role in what we do in Georgia because it's her home. And as her partner, Chief Program Officer, we make sure that vision comes through every day in every thought and question that we look at as we try to improve the lives in those communities that would cover Atlanta, LaGrange, West Point, East Point, Hogansville, and Woodbury. And we're still growing. We have learned some things that are extremely important just from being around in the market and being in DC and understanding what low moderate income communities mean. It's one thing to see them on the highway, but Georgia must also understand that without the SRACs and the tax incentives and all of the other incentives that can improve the inner communities, they will be left behind. We can put everything up and down the highway and on top of a factory that we want. But if you leave out the least, they will be left behind as this community and this environment changes and understands the fact that renewable energy is the way of the future. So how do I use the word scalable? How many jobs are created that take low, moderate income communities and make them far more sustainable. That's what scalable means to Groundswell. How many families improve and allow their children to get higher education through scalable solar? And then what does that look like when we span that over generations as we try to eradicate poverty? That's scalable. And we can measure that by how we allow the stakeholders to play a part in the new frontier of clean energy. Next slide. Affordable and accessible. That is where energy justice plays a role. Groundswell's vision focuses on that everyone has the right to clean energy. It's an inalienable right, not one for just those who have the dollars and cents in education to move forward and buy what they want and envision it and make it happen. That is affordable. Is it accessible? It means, does it reach into communities in a positive way that even the low moderate income communities can benefit and understand and be educated by what that impact makes to those communities? We look at LaGrange Housing Authority, we look at the airport. I heard a brief moment or expression about airports. We are working toward trying to put solar on these airports, but we also have to address that the fact that the policies must change so that that excess energy can be utilized in more positive ways to serve the community. We believe in community solar, and that is an avenue in which we can create and improve and provide opportunities for all that participate in solar energy. Next slide. We have many programs since we have moved into the Georgia market. We have a program called Breaking Barriers, and we take that same vision, that same approach that you've heard earlier to impact our HBCUs. What am I saying? That minorities many times are left out of that process, even when they're in the greatest institutions of education, to be a part and a player. Breaking Barriers takes the concept of taking all of our HBCUs and creating a microgrid, a solar component, a battery storage, and a resiliency hub, and then a curriculum to do what? Keep our youth in the running and competitively involved in this changing world that we call clean energy. This is impacting not just the universities, because we take that energy now and we focus it into West Georgia to help who? Low, moderate income communities, from disasters, education, showing them how to live, the whole component of what we believe is the best way to make it scalable. That hub that you see, Spelman, Morehouse, Clark, and Atlanta University, should say enough to everyone. Let's all play at an even playing field. Everyone should be at the table as a stakeholder. Next slide, please. So, save on utilities. We talk about how clean energy is important, but let's take a deeper dive. When we talk about low moderate income communities, they know how to make a dollar go much further than us who have far more means and resources at our table. Take a family that has $50, which is the average that can be saved on a solar credit when we put in a solar array. That $50 determines the medication it could possibly buy. You could put a couple of bags of groceries on the table that we would say, that's nothing. For that community, that's a lot. We must understand that what is affordable has to be affordable across the board, based upon the lifestyles, the economics, and then the way we live. Should what we call affordable be for a millionaire what it should be for an individual who's making only $1,200 a month? I think not. That's not affordable. But we must think outside the box as how we can make it affordable and then raise up our brothers and sisters. With that, we turn around and we look at how do you pay and save and how do you approach that. Reducing those utility bills is one thing. Educating and providing economic streams and creating minority small businesses is the next step. That is where our country is going today. So we must not just look at the grand pictures and scales of solar. We must understand how we as a country take this so that it is equitable to all. Next slide. And I might be on my last. All right, we're back at Drawdown, Georgia. So in conclusion, what I would like to say is that we as a collective body of individuals in this meeting today should be working together, collaborating together in one focused direction in a positive way to serve all, not just the few.
Thank you, Lenwood. And we had another question I think that might be for you, which is, will Groundswell, regarding the agrivoltaic program, will Groundswell consider in partnering with Black farmers for solar farm projects?
We would love that opportunity. Let's make it very clear that the new funding that is coming down and the ability to sit down with these farmers and understand how we can in a mission aligned way impact how they do solar with their fields and bring them into the marketing. We have a program called Justice 40. And with that process, we're able to provide support and helping them be on the cutting edge of the funding that's coming out over the next years to come. And with that, we bring something to the table. The many times as you look at these businesses, as we focus on farmers, they don't know how to navigate through these applications. Well, we were granted and blessed with the opportunity. We can take that into these rural areas and aid them without them having to spend the dollars they normally would have to invest to ensure that they're in a competitive position to receive these funds. And this is critical in the funds that we see here today. We will not maybe see in our lifetime another opportunity to see the economic ability to raise up all of our different programs that impact low moderate income communities. As you notice in our slides, we address the human need. So you see a rainbow of colors that reach across the gamut. It's not just about colored faces. When we say 80% of low moderate income, there are white faces in there too. So let us keep real and be realistic in how we approach this process. Absolutely. Hopefully I answered your question.